Welcome to season 2, episode 2 of the Risk Takers Only podcast, the podcast to motivate you, inspire you, get your ass taking action, moving, and getting you closer to your financial goals. I'm your host, Mike Upshire. Today, I have a great, fantastic episode for all you go-getters out there, you risk takers. I wanted to start off and just make a little statement, I guess, for you guys. So it's 2024, and they say the new $100,000 is $250K. I'm going to repeat that. $250,000 is the new $100,000. So that means that you individuals that are making $100,000 and below need to be able to step up, get to that $250,000 mark in this year. We're talking about inflation. We're talking about recession. Prices of goods are up. So you guys need to add some type of skill to your repertoire to increase your earning potential. But don't worry. I got you covered. So today, I'm going to show you an industry and a market that is relatively untapped. You guys don't hear about it enough. That's going to get you to $250,000 plus. Come here. Let me talk to you a little bit more. Have you ever heard of a freight broker? I did not either until I was told by my mentor about the industry. I got a story to tell for you guys real quick. So it is 2021. My wife and I, we're looking for her opportunities to take part of. The kids at that time are starting to get in school full time. And now my wife, who was a stay-at-home mom, she's looking to basically make her own money. She wants to get out the house and she wants to make her own money. And me being me, us being us, we decided, hey, we don't want you to work for anyone. We don't want you to just get a job, where you have to wake up and you're slaving for that job. But we also want you to be your own boss. We want you to have a high earning potential. So, of course, we went through all the normal things, real estate agent, insurance broker. We went through all of that. But we came to one specific industry that changed the game for us, the transportation industry. Now, mind you, it's 2021. The bans for COVID, how we had to stay, we were locked down. They were just, were able to come outside basically. And so now it's like we were analyzing industries and we kept coming back to the transportation industry for one reason. As we were locked down, specifically us here in Florida as well, the trucks were one of the only things that were able to move. Their earning potential was increasing because it was a need to transport goods. And so we started to think, hey, let's get involved in the transportation industry. We did some research and we decided we were going to purchase semi-trucks, 3 semi-trucks to be exact. And so me at the time, I'm still flipping houses. And I was at my mentor who mentors me in real estate. I was at his office. His wife is a title agent. I had just closed a deal. I'm picking up a big check and I'm, kind of bragging to my mentor, letting them know, hey, I'm going to get into the transportation industry. I let him know I'm looking at buying 3 trucks. And he says, hold on, Mike, hold on. And he knows me. I'm a go-getter. I'm a risk taker. So he knows I'm going to go full force in anything that I start. So he told me, hold on, before you, put your foot to the gas and just take off 100 miles per hour, I want you to talk to someone that has a lot more experience in the transportation logistics industry than you do, someone that is very close to him and is a friend and mentor of his. And so he told me about this individual, and I ended up setting up a meeting with him. And so sitting down and setting that meeting up, we started to talk about my goals and what I was looking to accomplish and why I was there. And I mentioned the 3 semi-trucks. And he told me, he said, hold on, young brother. He said, I used to have 50 semi-trucks. So you're looking to get 3. I used to have 50. I don't have them anymore. I sold them. And so as I started to ask why, and he's telling me the reasons why, he says, I asked him, what is he doing now? And he says, I'm a freight broker. Mind you, that is the very first time in 2021 that I've ever heard of a freight broker. Up until that point, the only 2 things I've heard in the transportation logistics realm was dispatching and owning the trucks. That's the only 2 things I've heard. So when he introduced me to becoming a freight broker, that time, I think it was September of 2021, was a time that changed my entire life. You fast forward to today. Today is 2024, January 30th to be exact when we're filming this. And now I can look back and say my last year, which is my second year in this industry, me and my wife net $285,000. $285,000 in year 2. So again, remember we were talking about the new $100,000 and now $250,000? There you go. And so today, guys, I want to let you guys know, I want to bring you to an industry, a market that not only changed my game and changed my life, I know it will change a lot of yours too. I just wanted to say, making that $285,000, I got to break this down for you because I need you guys to understand this. I made $285,000 without owning a truck, without having a license, without having any type of insurance. I didn't have to drive a truck. I didn't have to do any of that. I worked from the comforts of my own home with a laptop and a cell phone, and you can do it too. When you think about the transportation logistics industry, you think about owning a truck, being a truck driver, or either dispatching. And the difference between those three, the dispatcher coordinates the transportation logistics. They work directly with the truck driver. They're usually under the truck driver's authority, and they help the driver coordinate their routes. They bid on freight. They make check calls and make sure the driver is picking up correctly, delivering correctly en route to their pickup destination. They coordinate the transportation. A motor carrier, they're the ones who operate the semi truck that you guys see. They're the ones, or not even just the semi truck, but they're the ones who are picking up the good, and they're the ones who are delivering the good. And a broker, we facilitate the transportation between the shipper and the motor carrier. And so as a broker, we act as the middleman. We're the middleman between the shipper and the motor carrier, and we assure that the freight is going to arrive unharmed, on time, without any issues. So we arrange the transportation of properties and goods from point A to point B. Layman's terms, simple as that. So let's just say we have Aquafina. Aquafina is the shipper. They make water. They need to get this water from point A, where it was manufactured, to point B, where you guys, me included, are going to buy it. So what they do is they use someone like myself and say, hey, Mike, I have X amount of cases or pallets of this Aquafina, and I need to get it to point B. I'm going to pay you $5,000 to do so. My job is to find a motor carrier that is going to pick up this Aquafina, that have the right equipment, that has the right licensing, insurance, etc., and that will get that good from point A to point B safely. I don't transport any goods. I'm not the one transporting or driving the truck. I don't own the trucks. I don't take liability of what we're transferring. I'm just the middleman between the shipper and the carrier. Very simple. How did I become a $250,000 plus freight broker? I know you guys are asking that because that's what you want. You wouldn't be listening to the podcast if it wouldn't tell you how you can make this money too. And again, $285,000 is what I earned year 2 in the industry. Year 1, we did $151,000. Year 2, we did $285,000, almost doubled that. And I'm going to tell you the secrets on how you can do that too. There are 2 ways to becoming a freight broker. There are really 2 types of freight brokers, if you want to call it. You have a freight broker, and then you have a freight agent. If you guys see me keep looking down, I got some dictionary terminology for you guys. I want to, give you the exact dictionary terminology, and I'll break it down for you in a little bit, all right? So a freight broker is an entity that connects shippers with carriers, while a freight agent works on behalf of the broker. The freight agent works on behalf of the broker. They're usually under the broker's authority. And so they assist in finding and securing transportation services. As an agent, we operate under the broker's authority. A freight agent and brokers are often confused. Like I said, the major difference is the licensing and the liability that a broker has versus an agent has. A freight broker is licensed through the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, which is called the FMCSA, and is legally responsible for that cargo. And so again, as a freight broker, you have to get a license to be able to have your authority. You have to get a bond. You have to have insurance. And so you're liable for that cargo. You sign up with a shipper. We were talking about Aquafina. Aquafina is the shipper or manufacturer. If you sign up with that shipper and they give you their cargo, their goods, their products to move, you as the broker are responsible and liable for that cargo, right? And so I want to give you some pros and cons so you understand the freight broker versus the freight agent, right? And so the freight broker, as a broker, you have a higher potential for earning. As the broker, you have a higher potential for earning. Why? What you make is your money. You don't have to pay commissions out to anyone, any agent, unless you have an agent model where the agents work under you. As an agent, your potential for earning is a little bit lower because if you're working under a broker, the broker is going to take a commission or take a fee for them offering you their services. The broker is a business owner. The broker actually owns the brokerage. The freight agent does not own the brokerage. Otherwise, they work under the brokerage. So there's two differences. So again, a pro as a broker is you actually own the business. You get all the perks of owning the business. You get the cash flow. You get the business credit. You can take out loans and lines of credit. You can take out loans. That is your positive. Cons of a freight broker, you have a high risk. Your risk is much higher because, again, you have all the overhead. You're taking liability of the cargo, the goods that you're shipping. Like I said, when you take that cargo, something happens, it's on you. So you have a higher risk tolerance. You have higher risk as a broker. As a broker, you have the overhead. A lot of times a broker, their main thing that they offer an agent is going to be back office work. You're talking about office support, invoicing, accounts payable, accounts receivable, marketing, insurance. That is all that you have to take care of as a broker, whereas an agent, you don't have to worry about that. And then as a freight agent, we're going to talk about pros of a freight agent. Your risk is low. As a freight agent, you don't have to worry about the liability of the cargo, the insurance. You don't have to worry about that. As a freight agent, you go and you're under the brokerage. So that's the brokerage's job. That cuts out half of your job so you can focus on what you do best. As a freight agent, you have zero liability. When a manufacturer shipper, they sign over the goods, you as an agent, you have no insurance, you have no liability. That is on the broker's end. The broker has that liability. You as the agent, you do not. And as the agent, you have less overhead. Automatically as a broker, you're going to have back office work. It's just a given. You're going to have some type of invoicing. Like I said, accounts payable and receivable, you have to have that. And as an agent, that is an entirely different total cost that you don't have to worry about now because, again, you're under the broker. That is why they take their percentage. The broker offers that back office work, that overhead. As an agent, you do not have. The cons as a freight agent, limited control. If a policy was to change with the brokerage, that policy changes for you, most likely you cannot control that because it's not your business. If there was another agent that may be working with another customer that you have, it's hard for you to control that because, again, the broker is the one that has agents under them. So you really have no control in, your customers say or not. You do have the relationship, but you don't have that control. As an agent, you have a lower income earning ability. Not that you can't make great money as an agent, but as an agent, you automatically have a lower income because you know that the broker has to take their fee. So whatever you make, just know that the broker is going to take anywhere from, I've seen, brokers take minimum 10% all the way up to 40 or 50%. It's just the brokers that you choose to work with as an agent. And so, the pros and cons are pretty easy and set in stone. I hope you guys understand that. I want to talk to you guys about how do you become a freight broker? How do you become a freight broker? So as a freight broker, you have to be 21 years old. It's required. You have to have a broker's license or what's called an MC number or a DOT number. It's your license as a freight broker. And you can apply for that from the FMCSA, that stands for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. You can apply for your license. And so once you apply for your license, then you're starting to look for your insurance. So you're looking for liability insurance and also looking for a surety bond. The liability insurance is obviously insurance that covers you from, any type of cargo theft, any type of accidents where the goods are damaged, etc. And similar thing as the surety bond. So you need those three things. You need to get your license, which you get that on the FMCSA website. You also are going to need insurance, liability insurance, and you're also going to need a surety bond. And it differs by state, but those are the three things you're going to need to become a broker. It's not hard. It is not hard at all. What you need to become a freight agent is simple. Research credible brokers that you like. Apply for the position. Interview, and if you're hired, you're hired. Simple. The calls that you put and what you need to actually be a freight agent, you just need a phone and internet. And so the startup cost as a freight agent is way less than a freight broker. At the end of the day, when you get your liability insurance, when you get your surety bond, and you apply for your license, that's going to cause you, again, depending on the state, it's going to cost you anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000. And if you're someone who does not have that type of money, the freight agent is the way to go. Obviously, we can clearly see that it's a low cost, easy to get into. Real quick, guys, I'm going to stop here for a word from our sponsors real quick. This episode is sponsored by T&T Rentals. If you're ever in the Orlando area and you're looking for a rent-a-car, don't look any further. T&T Rentals has you covered. Follow the link below. Type in code TTRentals10 for 10% off. Again, T&T Rentals. If you're looking for a rent-a-car in the Orlando market, look no further. You skip the line, you get that car delivered to you directly right when you step off that flight. Holler at us, T&T Rentals. All right, we are back. Guys, I got a little hot, so you see I had to come out the jacket. I'm a sweater for you guys that just know me, and if you don't know, I'm back here giving you guys value. I'm delivering the content, so it gets a little hot right now. So just let you know, got my Aquafina water. You know what I mean? I had to take the jacket off, but I want to jump right back into it, guys. So we're talking about freight brokerage, right? And we're breaking down the differences between a freight broker and a freight agent. If you're thinking about getting into the realm of transportation logistics, specifically as a freight broker, there's two ways you can get in. And I told you, as a freight broker or as a freight agent. The freight broker, in layman's terms, is the person who has the liability. They're the ones who has a surety bond, the licensing, the insurance that's needed in order to operate. The agent works under the brokerage. All right, the agent works under the brokerage. The responsibilities of a freight broker versus a freight agent are, kind of night and day. As a freight broker, you have the same responsibilities as an agent plus more. That plus more is going to be, again, your back office work. The back office work is going to be accounts receivable and accounts payable. So as a freight broker, you're working with shippers and manufacturer of goods, and you're working with motor carriers. You're that middleman like we talked about. And so accounts receivable is going to come from the shipper when they're paying you once the truck driver or that motor carrier delivers a good. Accounts payable are going to be to your carriers, the motor carriers who delivered that good. And if you're a broker who has agents under you, you're going to have to pay your broker agents that are under you, and of course your staff. Okay, so that's the liability you have. You have to continue to monitor your compliance as the rules and laws change. You have to stay up to date with that as someone who is licensed, and so you have to hold that license. And not just hold the license, but also you're in charge of the insurance. And so that is all your responsibilities as a broker. As a freight agent, your responsibilities are very limited. Your responsibilities are to market new customers, build relationships with carriers, and maintain strong relationships with your current customers. As a freight agent, you are able to focus on what you should be able to do best, which is sell and build and maintain relationships. As a freight broker, you're going to do the same thing, sell, build, and maintain relationships, but you also are responsible for office work, back office work. That adds a little bit of a difference between the two. And so you may ask, Mike, what are you? I know we're talking about being a freight broker, but you may ask, Mike, what are you? Well, for me, I need a drum roll real quick. Give me a little drum roll. Boom. I'm a freight agent. Yes, you said it. I'm a freight agent. I'm an agent under a brokerage. Yes, that brokerage takes 30% from my earnings. And so when I mentioned earlier on in the podcast that I earned in my second year $285,000, that was after the brokerage took their 30% fee. And so you may ask me why? Why would I choose to be an agent versus a broker? I have my reasons. So let's break it down a little bit. So becoming an agent, my main thing for me is I'm a sales guy. I'm a relationship builder. That's my strong points. And me being new in the industry, I did not want to have to focus on back office work, the insurances, the licenses, factoring, which for those of you who don't know, factoring, what it is it's basically factoring companies. They buy your invoices. So as a broker, you'll sign, especially a new broker, you'll sign up with a factoring company, and that factoring company will take all your invoices that you have out owed to you as a trucking company, and they basically will front you that money. And so if a shipper is going to pay you within 30, 60 days, you go and you give your invoice that you're going to send that shipper to that factoring company, and they'll pay you that money sometimes 24, 46, or 24, 48 hours, a week in advance, whatever you guys set up with that factoring company. They'll front that money until the shipper pays. Now, of course, if the factoring company is fronting that money, they're not doing it for free, so they take a fee. All of that, I did not want to worry about. I already know what I'm good at. Me being new in the industry, I wanted to focus on building more customers, building my relationship with those customers, and building more my carrier network, and building relationships with the carriers. And so again, $285,000 in year 2 as a freight agent. The brokerage is taking 30%. I did not get in a truck. I did not drive a truck. I did not lift any heavy materials. I stayed in the comforts of my own home with my laptop and a cell phone. And so you may ask yourself, okay, now how can you do this too? That's where we're getting into the meat and potatoes of it. So that you guys waited this long into the podcast, you might as well now, if you like what you're hearing now, you might as well like, comment, subscribe, follow, because now we're about to get into the real of the real. So how did I become a $285,000 freight agent owner? I told you the story about how I got introduced into the freight brokerage industry, into the transportation industry, but specifically a freight broker. When I sat down with my mentor, my current mentor now, at the time, he introduced me to the freight brokers, and he offered me an opportunity to be able to get mentored by him in this industry. And so the first thing I'm going to tell you guys, number one, is you need a mentor. You need someone that has done it at the level that you want to do it at. You need someone that can teach you the knowledge, teach you the game, so you can skip the line. Last year was the year that we earned $285,000. And last year was, frankly, it was considered a recession to most people in the transportation world. A lot of companies were going out of business. The freight rates were low. Gas and diesel prices were high. And so if you look all around on the internet, you'll hear a lot of people saying, oh, how hard it was. And it was hard. But we almost doubled our revenue in year 2 in a recession. And you wonder how we did that? Well, because we had a coach by our side telling us what we needed to do, telling me what we needed to do to be successful. And so that's how we started. We started out with a mentor. And so starting out with a mentor allowed us to skip the line. You guys heard episode 1, I talked about mentorship, and I'm talking about it again. I'm an avid believer. We were able to skip the line, and while everyone else is crying and complaining, I'm new in the industry, never drove a truck, never touched a truck before, and we made $285,000. I have some tips for you guys. If you haven't, man, grab your pen or pencils. I got a couple of tips for you guys on how you can do this too. Starting out, as a freight broker, freight agent, the way you're gonna make your money is you need shippers. You need shippers. You need shippers and manufacturers, people that make stuff that need to get it from point A to point B. You need shippers. And so, of course, you look online and you're going to see everyone give you how to contact those shippers. Cold calls, email blasts, where to find them. That's all fine and dandy. You can cold call your way into finding shippers. You can call 1,000 shippers. You can email your way. You can email 1,000 shippers. Whatever you want to do. The trick is, and here's the trick, when you start out targeting your shippers, you should start targeting shippers that produce raw goods. I'm talking steel, metal, lumber. Those are all raw commodities. I'm talking about, like I said, steel, metal, lumber. Those are raw commodities, and they should have a high volume, meaning that the shipper that produces that steel, that metal, that lumber, you want them to be shipping a high volume of loads. I'm not talking about 20 loads a week. You want your shippers doing anywhere from 50 plus more loads per week. That's considered high value. Now, when you're talking about targeting a shipper that has high value, you typically want to target a shipper that has raw goods and high value, because they're going to be a little bit more lenient with you. They're going to be a little bit more understanding when something goes wrong, because it will go wrong, especially you first starting out as a new broker. And so when something goes wrong, you cannot pick up that good on time. The delivery is late. They're going to be a little bit more lenient with you, and you have more opportunities because of the volume with that shipper. That was key for me. When I first started and I started targeting my shippers, yes, basically any shipper that wanted to do business with me, I would do business with. But what I found, the real shippers that I'm doing business with now, and that I've cultivated a good relationship, they had a lot going for them. Meaning they had a high value. One missed pickup or one late delivery, it did not matter to them as much because they had others going out. They had volume, and because it was raw goods, again, raw goods like lumber, steel, metal, all of those goods, again, they're a little bit on the lower end as far as margins. And so if you're talking about the difference between moving, let's just say like a SpaceX screw, that is another commodity that needs to be shipped that I know someone who ships SpaceX screws. You miss that SpaceX screw and the cause of those screws, that shipper probably is not going to work with you again. But again, if you're working with someone that's a little bit more lenient with you, that's a little bit more understanding, that's where you want to be at to actually come in the industry and learn. You don't want to come in and then immediately lose the shipper as quick as you were able to get them. Number 2, target shipper and manufacturers who have multiple locations. The reason why is because each location is like a new customer. So think about it. If you have one shipper that has took you 3 months to get, and they have one location, you're working with just that one location. If something goes wrong, whatever the case may be, like I said, the leniency and the understanding, if something goes wrong, and let's just say they're pissed off, you may lose that one load contact, and guess what? That shipper, that relationship is done. Whereas for me, one of my biggest customers, I landed right off the bat, they were known to buy other companies. They had over 30, 40 different locations all across the U.S. And so, yes, I started working with that original location, which was in Ohio, by the way. But now I work with all their locations: Ohio, Florida, Texas, Louisiana, California, Arizona, Indiana, Michigan. I work with all of their locations. And so it's literally like I have 30 different customers. Why? Well, because each location ships they ship similar goods, but they vary, and each location has different routes. So one is coming out of Louisiana going into Arizona, one is going from Ohio into Michigan. Target shippers and manufacturers, they have multiple locations. It's going to be better for you because it's as if you have multiple customers. Number 3, develop a niche. Don't try to come in this industry and be everything to everyone. It will not work. Pick a niche. And when I say a niche, for me, my niche is open deck freight. What is open deck freight? Open deck freight refers to cargo that is transported on a flatbed, step deck, or any type of trailer without any enclosed structure. Simple as that. And so when I say a flatbed or a step deck, anything that you see that is not closed in, normally you see a lot of heavy machinery on open deck freight, which is why, you can lay the machinery, it can be the whatever height it needs to be and width, because it's open. You guys get that, right? Hope that didn't go over your head. It's simple. Unlike enclosed trailers, I just want to let you know, open deck trailers, they lack the size, they lack the roof, making it a little bit more suitable for transportation of large, heavy machinery, oversized items that can't normally fit in a standard enclosed space like a dry van. And common examples of open deck freight include like machinery, construction equipment. You see the steel beams. I talked to you about lumber, other items, that require specialized handling due to just the size, shape, and weight. So the open deck is designed, allows you to kind of easily load and unload, any type of equipment you have. And so, yes, that's what I chose. And I don't even want to say I chose it. It chose me when I first got started, and I found my first shipper. Again, I found my first shipper through cold calls, and I targeted shippers with multiple locations. And I target raw goods, steel, lumber, metal, exactly like I'm telling you guys. So when I got my first shipper, I noticed that majority of the loads that I was moving all involved flatbed. And so since I started to understand and learn flatbed first, I decided open deck was what I was going to specialize in. I was going to learn it. I was going to be a master at that. All right. So number 4, which this is a game changer for me, and it really took place in year 2 for me that I started to learn this. Build a network of carriers early. Build a network of carriers early. So as a freight broker, when you come in the game, you don't really realize the value of a carrier in your network. what I started out to do, and I'll be honest, I think a lot of people do. When I first started year one, I would get a load from my customers and I would post it on the load board and I would wait till a carrier calls in and I would book that carrier. And that was my method. And what they call that now, what I call that is called the post and pray model. You post that load and you just are praying a carrier will call you, right? And so this is how I've lost relationships with customers before because of this exact model. I would take a load. I did not have a truck for it. I would post it on the load board, and I just knew trucks would call for this load, where it just so happened there was a couple times, too many, where the carrier did not call in the time frame I needed. They needed it picked up today. I'm getting calls from it on this load, but the carriers want to pick it up tomorrow, or they want more money. And so guess what? I ended up having to tell that customer that I cannot pick up the load on the scheduled time, and I did that enough, and I lost a customer quicker than I actually gained the customer. It took me 3 months to get this customer, and I lost him in a span of 1 month because I dropped too many loads. And so what I started to realize is how can I prevent this? One, I don't want to grab a load that I don't have a truck for, but how do I make sure I have a truck for these loads? Build your network of carriers. Over the last year, we spent a lot of time and we emphasized our team. I got agents in the Philippines that work for me, and we emphasize with those agents that, hey, I'm going to give you a bonus for using what we call repeat carriers. We pay a bonus to our agents to use the same carrier. Why? Well, because now it prevents me from having to go on the load board and post a load and hope and pray that a truck actually calls me to book this load. I have a deadline today at 3 p.m. I know I can call a truck driver that's going to pick it up before 3. And not just that, when you're on the load board and you're doing that model that I told you, the post and pray model, where you get the load and you post it on the load board and you're hoping the carrier calls you, you may book your carrier in time, but you've never worked with that carrier. You don't know his track record. You don't know his driving record. You can figure out his driving record, but you don't know his track record. You don't know if he's a liar, if he's someone who says, hey, I'm going to be at pickup and he's not there on time. You don't know that. Whereas carriers that you worked for in the past or worked with in the past, you know just about how they're going to operate just off how they did their previous loads with you. And so I know the difference between me getting to someone off the load board who may say, hey, Mike, yeah, I'm going to pick it up at 2 o'clock. He calls me at 3 o'clock, 3:05 to be exact, and says, hey, I'm running a little bit late. The pickup is closed now. You can't pick up the load. But if I use a carrier that I know how he operates, I know if this particular carrier says he's going to pick up at 2 o'clock, he's going to pick up at 2 o'clock. And if he has issues, he's going to call me beforehand, giving me the opportunity to kind of update my customer. And that is key in this industry. The communication between your carrier, your customer is key. I mean, this is why as a freight broker, the reason why shippers and manufacturers work with you is strictly because you have a network of carriers that you're going to leverage. They don't have the time to get on the phone and vet carriers, email carriers to pick up this load. Their job is worrying about the sales, is worrying about the shipping and getting the load prepared for you to move to point A or move from point A to point B. And so again, as a broker, you're judged really off of one main thing. It doesn't matter how much they like you. It doesn't matter what sport team you guys share in common. If you cannot move their freight, keep the communication high, move it safely and timely, you will not make it in this business. And the way to ensure you do all that, move it safely, move it timely, have excellent communication, is going to be dependent on your carrier network, your carrier relations. Again, number 4, build a network of carriers. Number 5, and this one is one of my favorite. I'm a little bit biased, but this one's one of my favorites. I'm going to say hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. I told you guys that is one of my tattoos that I have here on my arm, and I live by that. In this industry, when you first come in, your skill set is going to be extremely low. And there are some fucking brokers out there that are sharks. And you ask yourself, how can you compete? How did I take $285,000 of the market share? Mind you, in the transportation industry, it's $1 trillion industry. So there's a lot of money to be made. But how did I come in and be able to almost double my revenue last year in what was most would call a recession? It's because I outworked everyone. The cold calls that you got to make them. You know you have to get on the phone and call shippers. Call those shippers. You should have a goal. If you're going to call shippers, I'm talking about calling 50 to 100 a day, because your skill set is so low. The only way to compete with people that have a skill set that is higher than you is to put out a large output. And I'm talking about a large output of calls, emails. You need to TTP. TTP stands for talk to people. You need to talk to people, get on the phone and build those relationships in order for you to be able to make it in this industry. And that's exactly what we did. During Christmas time, holidays, we are sending out gift cards, thank you letters, because we're so thankful for the business that our shippers do. And we're not just sending it out to shippers, we're doing it for our carriers. We're so thankful for our carriers who move their freight for us. They put their lives on the line to pick up the freight, and they're driving at all times of night to deliver these loads for us. And so we put out great energy. We hustle hard. We make the calls. We do the emails. This industry is not for the weak. My guys come in at 7 a.m. and we leave at 5. They come in at 7 and leave at 5. Would you be willing to do that for $285,000? Would you? You may say yes now, but when you have to get up after you come home, you haven't seen the kids, and you're tired, and would you actually do that? Because sometimes you're still there to 6 or 7 o'clock. So would you take that effort to make that amount of money? That is my question for you. I want to close on this. The transportation logistics industry, specifically being a freight broker, I'm an agent, has changed my life. I told you I used to flip houses. And when I flip houses, my wife at the time, mind you, we opened up this business for her. She was bringing in checks and she was bringing in not small checks. She was bringing in $10,000, $20,000. It wasn't consistent, but I saw it. And me being who I am, I'm a risk taker. I'm a money maker. I'm a deal creator. When I saw that, I said, I'm spending all my time running back and forth to these properties, checking on contractors. I'm at Home Depot every day, living in Home Depot. I'm paying $30,000, $40,000 plus in marketing. And I saw my wife with a desktop computer and no help is bringing home $10,000 to $20,000 from the house, still handling business, picking up the kids. It was a no-brainer. I shut down everything and I brought all my attention to the brokerage, and it was history. It was history. And so, guys, if you want to learn more about becoming a freight broker, I want you to follow the link in the show notes. It's going to lead you to my website. I want you to log in, follow the link to the show notes and log in to the website and submit for a call with me. I'll give you a one-on-one call. We can talk about your goals and how we can help you accomplish that new $100,000 in 2024. All right. And so, guys, this is Mike, the Risk Takers Only podcast. I'm out, baby.